listen carefully, because what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes will shift your entire perspective on why silence has so much power. You walked away. You stopped answering. You cut the communication. And now, she's mad. Not just upset. Not just confused. But here's what nobody's telling you about that anger. Chosen one. It's not really about you going silent. It's about what your silence just exposed in her. Stay with me, because this goes deeper than you think. And by the end of this message, you'll understand exactly what's happening behind the scenes, and, more importantly, how to move forward with the wisdom and discernment you were always meant to carry. Let's start here. When you cut communication with someone who is used to having access to you, to your energy, to your attention, to your emotional availability, something happens in their inner world that most people never talk about. See, communication wasn't just about staying in touch. For her, it was a form of control, not necessarily in a malicious way, but in a way where knowing she could reach you, knowing you would respond, knowing you were there, it gave her a certain sense of power and predictability in her world. And the moment you stopped feeding that pattern, the moment you stopped being predictable, everything inside her that was built on that dynamic started to crumble. And that's where the anger comes from. But let's go even deeper, because this isn't just psychology. Chosen one, this is spiritual. There's an energetic exchange that happens in every relationship, every connection, every bond. When you're constantly available, constantly responding, constantly giving your time and attention, you're creating an energy flow. She got used to that flow. Her spirit got used to tapping into your frequency. And whether she realizes it consciously or not, your presence, your words, your energy, it was feeding something in her. Maybe it was validation. Maybe it was comfort. Maybe it was the feeling of being chosen, being special, being prioritized. But when you cut that flow, when you disrupted that energy, her soul felt it immediately. And the ego doesn't like disruption. The ego doesn't like loss of control. So what does it do? It gets mad now. Here's where it gets interesting. Her anger isn't just one, it's layered. On the surface, she might be telling herself, or telling others, that she's mad because you're being immature, or because you're playing games, or because you're being distant for no reason. But underneath that surface level anger, there's something much more vulnerable happening. There's fear that maybe she pushed you too far. Fear that maybe she lost someone who actually saw her, who actually cared, who actually showed up in ways that others didn't. Fear that maybe, just maybe, you're not coming back this time. And that fear, it's terrifying for the ego, because the ego doesn't want to admit that it needs anyone. The ego doesn't want to admit that it might have been wrong. So instead of dealing with that fear, instead of being vulnerable, the anger becomes a shield, a defense mechanism, a way to protect herself from the pain of realizing that something real might have just slipped through her fingers. And here's what they didn't tell you. Chosen one, mixed in with that anger and that fear, there's also longing. There's sodade, as some would say, that deep, melancholic longing for something that was once there but is now absent. She misses you, not just the surface level I miss talking to you, but a deeper soul level, missing. She misses the way you made her feel seen, the way you listened, the way you showed up with intention and presence. She misses the version of the connection that felt safe, that felt real, that felt like home. But pride won't let her admit it. Pride won't let her reach out first. Pride won't let her say, I was wrong, come back. So instead, the anger takes center stage, and she convinces herself that she doesn't need you, that she's better off, that you're the problem. But late at night, when the distractions fade and the noise quiets down, her soul knows the truth. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a woman who's been strong her whole life, independent, self-sufficient, maybe even a little guarded. She's built walls because life taught her to. And then you came along. You, with your quiet strength, your discernment, your ability to see beyond the surface. You didn't force your way in, but somehow, you were allowed in. She let you see parts of her that most people never get to see. And for a while, that felt beautiful. But then something shifted. Maybe there was a conflict. Maybe expectations weren't met. Maybe words were said that couldn't be unsaid. And instead of working through it, instead of humbling herself, instead of choosing vulnerability, she chose defensiveness. She chose to protect her ego. And you chose your peace. You walked away. Not out of spite, not out of revenge, but because you recognized that sometimes love means loving yourself enough to step back from what's hurting you. And now, she's sitting with the consequences of her choices. And the anger is easier to feel than the regret. So what is she doing right now, in the silence? What's happening behind the scenes while you're focusing on your healing, your growth, your alignment? Let me tell you what most chosen ones don't realize. She's watching. Not in an obsessive way, necessarily, but she's aware. She's checking your social media, even if she told herself she wouldn't. She's asking mutual friends about you, casually, as if she's just curious. She's replaying conversations in her mind, analyzing everything that was said and everything that wasn't. She's going back and forth between justifying her position and questioning whether she was too harsh, too stubborn, too proud, and sometimes, late at night, she's drafting messages that she never sends. Messages that say, "I miss you," or "Can we talk?" or "I'm sorry." But then the morning comes, and the pride kicks back in, and she deletes the draft and tells herself she's fine without you. And here's the thing, chosen one, she's also testing you. Even in the silence, she's testing. Maybe she posts something she knows you'll see, something that's designed to get a reaction. Maybe she reaches out through indirect ways, through other people, through subtle gestures that give her plausible deniability. Maybe she's creating situations where she accidentally crosses your path. All of this is the ego trying to regain control, trying to see if you'll break, if you'll reach out first, if you'll give her the upper hand again. And this is where your discernment has to be razor sharp, because the temptation to respond, to fix, to go back to what's familiar, it's strong. But just because someone is pulling on your energy doesn't mean you're obligated to give it. Now, let's talk about how you, as a chosen one, navigate this with wisdom. First, understand this. Your silence was not an attack. It was a boundary. And boundaries are not meant to punish. They're meant to protect. You walked away to protect your peace, your energy, your mental and spiritual health. And that was not only valid, it was necessary. So the first thing you need to do is release any guilt you might be carrying. You don't owe anyone access to you at the expense of your own well-being. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. And you certainly don't owe anyone the continuation of a pattern that was draining you. Second, stay grounded in your truth. Her anger, her confusion, her sadness, as real as it may be, is not your responsibility to fix. You cannot heal someone who isn't ready to do their own inner work. You cannot love someone into wholeness. You cannot sacrifice your peace to make someone else comfortable. And the moment you understand this, the moment you truly internalize this, you step into a new level of spiritual maturity. You realize that loving someone doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means letting go, so that both of you can grow into who you're meant to be. Third, do not engage in reaction. This is crucial. The ego wants you to react. The ego wants you to defend yourself, to explain yourself, to prove that you're not the bad guy. But chosen ones operate differently. You move from a place of intention, not reaction. If and when communication is meant to be restored, it will happen from a place of clarity, alignment, and mutual respect, not from a place of ego, manipulation, or desperation. So resist the urge to break your silence prematurely. Resist the urge to check on her out of guilt. Resist the urge to explain yourself to people who weren't there, who don't understand the full story. Your peace is more important than their opinions. Fourth, spend this time in prayer, meditation, reflection. Whatever your spiritual practice looks like, ask for discernment, ask for wisdom. Ask to be shown clearly what is meant for you and what is not. Ask to see the truth of the situation beyond the emotions, beyond the attachment, beyond the history. Because sometimes, chosen one, we hold on to people and connections because of who we hoped they would be, not who they actually are. And it takes stillness, it takes silence, it takes deep inner work to see the difference. So use this time wisely. Journal, process your emotions, heal the parts of you that were wounded in the connection. Forgive, not for her, but for you. Forgiveness doesn't mean going back. It means releasing the energetic weight so you can move forward freely. And fifth, trust the process. Trust that if this connection is meant to be restored, it will be at the right time, in the right way, with both people having done the necessary inner work. Trust that if it's not meant to be, something better, something more aligned, is already on its way to you. Trust that your obedience to your inner knowing, your commitment to your peace, and your willingness to walk away from what no longer serves you, has just opened a door in the spiritual realm that you can't even see yet. The universe honors those who honor themselves. The divine blesses those who choose alignment over attachment. And everything you released at that was out of alignment is making space for what is divinely ordained for your life. Let me be clear about something. This message is not about demonizing her. It's not about making her the villain in your story. She's human. She's flawed. She's navigating her own wounds, her own ego, her own journey. But your compassion for her humanity does not require you to sacrifice your peace. You can wish her well from a distance. You can pray for her healing without being the one who has to facilitate it. You can honor what the connection taught you without going back to what broke you. Maturity is being able to hold both truths at the same time. And here's what I want you to remember, chosen one. Your value is not determined by who stays or who. Cliff's worth is not measured by who gets angry when you choose yourself. You were chosen before you ever met her. You were called before you ever entered that connection. Your purpose, your path, your peace. It's bigger than any one person, any one relationship, any one season of your life. So don't shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable. Don't dim your light to soothe someone else's darkness. Don't apologize for evolving, for growing, for choosing better for yourself. The woman who is mad that you cut communication, she's going through her own process. And that process is not yours to manage. Your only job is to stay true to yourself, to stay aligned with your highest good, to stay committed to your peace. Let her anger be her teacher. Let her discomfort be her catalyst for growth. And trust that in divine timing, everything will make sense. Either she'll do the work and come back as a better version of herself, worthy of the connection, or she won't. And you'll realize that the door closing was actually a blessing in disguise. So here's my question for you. What is your silence teaching you about yourself? What is this space revealing to you about what you truly want, what you truly need, what you're no longer willing to tolerate? Because chosen one, every ending is also a beginning. Every goodbye is also a hello to something new. And your willingness to walk away from what wasn't serving you just prove that you're ready for what is. Before we close, I want to ask you to do something. If this message resonated with you, if you felt seen, if you felt understood, if you felt like these words were meant specifically for you, drop the word discernment in the comments. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're committed to moving forward with wisdom, with clarity, with your peace intact. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, because we're building a community of chosen ones who are done playing small, who are done accepting less than they deserve, who are ready to walk in their divine purpose with boldness and grace. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a message. That's meant to shift your perspective and elevate your journey. Remember this, chosen one. You are not defined by who couldn't handle your growth. You are defined by your courage to keep growing anyway. You are not diminished by who walked away. You are elevated by your willingness to let them go. Your silence is not weakness. It's power. It's wisdom. It's discernment. And everything you're walking away from is making space for everything you're walking into. Trust the process. Honor your journey. And know that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Discernment. That's your word. That's your anchor. That's your reminder. Walk in it. Live it. Be it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.